what would be one of the best things about the league that you'd like say to somebody to get them to join?
Mostly inclusivity. Mostly because it includes everyone. You don't have a skill cap or skill issue for that. You just mostly have people in all skill categories from my old level, from semi-professional to the lower levels, and just everyone's included basically. So I say it's more of a fun league to play.
Oh, definitely,
Just
yeah.
have fun.
That
Get
was
everyone involved.
100% what we were aiming for when I started building this thing. Yeah, we have obviously a lot of answers that were quite similar to that. So I'm quite glad actually. I feel like that reflects quite well. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, we also had a couple of people saying about how, well, not only is it all inclusive, but it's it's obviously free, and that's not something you get nowadays. Um,
Yeah, definitely not.
what would you want out of the league? So let's say that money wasn't an option. Okay, money's not a thing. You don't need it to buy, food and whatnot. What would be your ideal prize? It could be anything.
Ooh.
It's a tough
Well, like
question.
a dream prize.
Yeah, like a mystery
To
prize that you'd be like really excited to get.
it would probably be to meet and have a sit down with Fabian.
Really, that's a good one. That's a
Like,
celebrity meetup. That's something we haven't had before.
for me, it's like to me, he is the best player to ever touch the game.
Yeah, so it's
Mostly
like,
not, yeah. It's not like you got like for example your Shikos and your Bolos of that people with really good aim, but you haven't got someone with the IQ of Fabian, and
yeah,
that's what prided myself in when I played the game, and also what I above all else think is the number one thing that you can see is like achievements. Obviously, 3 Siege Hammers, the only person to ever do it in the whole entire world, and also the fact that he came back from the difficulties he came back to, and he's just like no one's ever done it like him.
yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm not 100% familiar with his work, but I've heard the name, and I think I know who you're talking about. And his, I mean, his strats are just insane from what I've heard. What I do want to ask you as well, it's very good to have a captain's point of view here. How do you feel your team have played this season?
Well, it's a thing of like we've not even dropped a round.
Exactly.
It's
You can't
we
say
can't
anything
complain.
negative. They haven't dropped a single round.
I would
Um,
say we've got a mascot Kevin who's doing good. He's still learning the game. And we've got a lovely Mel who's a controller player playing on PC, so that's a lovely thing to have. And then you've got well, for the first time we came in, I played, and I've to kind of taken a step back because I feel like having like myself in it would be a bit of an overkill. I want to have more people actually playing the game, this and
True.
that,
I
and actually
mean,
taking a bit of a side step to coach people.
yeah, it's obviously very helpful for us. I love that. What I have noticed is also in Lexi's interview, he also made a shout out to Kevin, so I find that quite funny. Also, speaking of Lexi's interview, have you seen it yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. So that's quite interesting. You might there's a couple of points in there that you might want to address. I'll bring those up now so we can get them in the interview.
I
Um,
purposely stopped, didn't watch it because I wanted to go into it raw.
you wanted to go into it raw. I like that. That's good. Okay. Well, some of the comments that were made during the interview were based on the fact that you have taken a step back. He was
Yeah.
acknowledging that, and what he was saying, I'll let you watch it later so you can actually get a real feel for what actually went down. But I think the vibe came to me as though Lexi was planning on a different future with maybe
Mhm.
either a team that he makes himself or one that he wants to join. I'm sure I know Lexi, and I think we all know his ego. I think he'll make his own team. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens next season. That's another thing. Something that I've asked everyone so far. What are you most excited about for next season?
The difference it brings.
Oh, okay. Do you have
I've
anything
had
to
obviously
add
a
on
bit of
that?
a sneak peek, had a bit of a sneak peek in the stuff and all that sort of stuff, and I do like the idea, and I'm still probably adamant about taking a complete step back, considering the fact that I'm going to be doing a bit of a size that no one actually heard of. I'm actually going to be competing in student nationals in
Oh,
Valorant.
really?
Yes. So I've been kind of aiming on that at the moment. It's a new challenge. I've already hit my what I think is my peak for Siege,
Mm.
and the love has kind of died out due to the fact of the hackers. But
Yeah.
then I'm still keeping my nose in the door, still watching everything like Pro League, this and that, still doing strats, still doing everything. I'm still doing presentations in my course to people who play Siege to get them to be better, whilst also getting better at Valorant.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it struck me literally today. I mean, I've been promoting this league for a while now, and whilst on some social media platforms, I did see somebody trying to sell cheats in the social media platforms, and it's just so disheartening to see because, I mean, as a Siege player, how it feels to play against hackers, how difficult it is to prove them to be a hacker. I mean, when you get good at it, you can spot it, but most of the time, it's just a plague on the community, and I don't think anyone enjoys it. Even when you pay for the hacks, it must get boring, surely, after a while. Um,
It's the reason why I end up stopping playing, like because of my rank and everything. I couldn't play.
exactly. I mean, everyone in Siege, in the community, your rank is it's your prestige. It's who you are, you know. And I'm excited to see what changes come with the Siege Cup. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what that's all about, but I'm looking to do a bit more in like research, in-depth research, and figure out what that's all about. But over to the league itself. Um, so I know you were talking about having a sneak peek into all the ideas that have been thrown around.
Mhm.
I've spoken to Lexi about the draft, and I've spoken to a couple of other people about the draft, and well, Lexi's heavily against it. I think a couple of other people are quite excited about it. What are your views?
I like a challenge.
You like a challenge? I like that. That's
So
good.
it's in my head. If we draft people and this and that, I get that some people might not play with people who they want to play with.
Mm,
But then at the same time, to put it bluntly, if obviously if everyone looks at the table and everything like that, there may or may not be one team that's overly on top and unbalanced, and that is obviously my team. We're better.
yeah.
And for some people, like we had seen the last time we played, they pretty much be there like, yeah, we're not even going to run around against them. We may as well just mess around and have a bit of fun, which we can, which you can see in previous things, or that sort of stuff. And it isn't the
I mean, yeah,
so
exactly.
maybe
I
the
mean,
club is
take
good.
Gojo fanboys for example. They immediately dropped out after playing one round against you guys. I felt very bad for them as a team, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I we went in and did pick up strats, nothing too in depth. I just gave the calls and for that, and then he got picked apart without, I believe we didn't even drop a body or
Yeah.
two, and the whole time until we started messing around a bit, it was a bit disheartening to know that we did that, but at the same time, it was kind of like a badge of honor also.
I mean, obviously at the end of the day, it's a competition. You got to compete, and if you guys are going to put on a show, I'm not going to complain. um, But yeah, with the draft itself, I feel like it's definitely going to bring along a way for the team captains to really see different play styles and different people who are, you know, perhaps better than others. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you might be a good player, but there might be somebody else who is an average player who can also communicate with a team, who will work with your strats, who won't misbehaving, who won't be missing training sessions or games. Um, you know, and it's gonna give the captains a bit more of an insight into the community as a whole. Um, will it is confirmed I will be doing the draft either in the league, so as a replacement for the current setup we have for the league, or as a individual tournament. I am undecided as to obviously what we're going to do yet. I'm just kind of
Mhm.
gathering feedback, seeing what people think is a better idea. But it will most likely be either a draft or we'll be putting some kind of cap on the number of players that each team can have
Yep.
to hopefully increase the number of teams and bring in a bit more competition, which is what Lexi said as well. They said that their solution was to just increase the amount of teams and the competition will follow.
That's pretty much what you can do. Like you're gonna have your people. I feel like maybe the best way to do it is try to take your better players, let's say like your egotistical Lixies or your Joshes and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and put them as ones separate to each other. then have them spin the wheel for their players, pretty much. Just kind of people like that, so it keeps the competition. If you really want it to try to be fair as well as keeping the random, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, that's the majority of the way that most drafts work. You pick the captains, which are normally your best players, um, and then obviously you let them pick. The way that I wanted to describe it to Lexi, but I don't think he completely got it. He thought that it was going to diminish the relationship between people and their teams, um, and it's going to confuse people. If you're playing with one team one day and then you're playing with another team the next, it's going to confuse you, and I understand that. Um, but considering the fact that most of our tournaments are outside of league times, so during the transfer window, if you will, um,
Hmm.
they won't be conflicting with the leagues at all. So during April to September, you'd be with the one team you were drafted into in March. So the March draft would happen, and then everyone would just stay in their teams until the end of the season, where we do another draft next year. Which I don't know if that would be the best way to do it. I feel like he has a point. It does conflict with the relationships between the team captains and their players, because sometimes you will get put with someone you don't really want to play with, and that will ruin the sort of whole team dynamic. But at the same time, I do really want to do a draft because I feel like it shows great opportunity for growth in all areas. So we'll see how exactly that goes. Um,
I feel like the draft is a good idea to an extent. It's a good idea to have people play with different people and make new relationships and that sort of stuff, which is always good. Just because you're going to be in a different team doesn't mean you're going to have your relationships been suddenly gone and no one will ever play with each other again. Because you
yeah,
got some
exactly.
people who, like for example, Fat Ash, the team Fat, they pretty much play with each other quite a bit. So
Mm.
then having them, they're not going to just suddenly not play together.
Oh yeah, they're very active.
Yeah, they're quite active with each other. It's quite good.
And I see them online all the time. They're organising training sessions. They're popping on. I'm really excited to see how they play in the next matchup in the final. It's going to be quite exciting to see. Speaking of the final, this is my last question for you. Um,
Hmm.
how do you feel knowing that going into the final you are quite a few men short?
I'm not entirely worried. Like
I mean,
we
being
have we
top of
have
the league.
joked. Yeah, we have joked about with Lexi saying that, knowing him, he'll want to 1v5 everyone. But um, at the same time, do I think if it teams that have had a month to train actually have a bit more teamwork and stuff like that, would he be able to 1v5? Obviously not. He shouldn't be able to. But then I'm not entirely fussed. I want to try to find people because it will actually give people more opportunities to show what they're made of
Exactly. I mean,
and
with the best
see how
players
they deal with
out,
people
it
like Lexi.
gives a platform to other players in the team to hop on. Um, but I'm going to obviously I've been working hard to promote the league and get new players. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been a couple of people here and there each week joining, and I'm liking the numbers, to be honest. The numbers are positive. We're having way more people join than leave, so that's always a positive. Um, and yeah, obviously I'm always working on some sponsorships and whatnot. So we'll see how those go, how the partnerships go, and yeah, things should improve when it comes to numbers. But yeah, when it comes to getting people to join the teams, I think when we add the cap, it's going to make things way more personal within the teams because the people who are most reliant will probably be kept, and the people who aren't will probably be pushed into new teams. So it'll be exciting to see how these new teams sort of face with that. But yeah, that's my final question for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, where do you see yourself taking the league?
Oh, that is a very interesting question. Well, uh, I'd say. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I'd say in the next year or two, we'd keep doing what we're doing, keep working on improving the league as it is. I want to take it to paid competitions so that we can have some sort of revenue coming in, even if it's very, very small. But with the majority of these teams being set up, I don't see them, uh, well, being broken down. as easy. I feel like once the league becomes a tradition, the teams will become more secure. I mean, we've barely been able to keep the original team garbage bins in. So I would say keeping a team throughout the whole league is kind of a success. I am aware that a lot of the teams have been broken down, either because we've had to kick them for breaking or violating rules, uh, or some teams have just decided to break up, and that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we've started this competition with 2 teams, and we've finished with 3, or 2.5. Um, but yeah, I'll take that any day. I feel like having the teams there is the main priority, because the more
Yeah.
people we have there, the more people are watching, the more people will be signing up for the paid tournaments in the future. So essentially, this league is setting up for the paid tournaments. It's giving like a platform for it to bound off of. And this is it's gonna improve that, as well as the fact that I want the free league to continue going, because it's something that can autonomously run with the right staff, and it also helps with the server as a whole. I feel like it provides for DLN the same way that DLN provides for the league. I feel like it's hopefully going to become self-sustaining to the point where it'll become sort of a tradition. All right.
That's all right. Good answer.
Any more questions?
None.
No? Lovely stuff. Right. Well, have a good evening. Thank you very much for coming. And yeah, can't wait to see you. Well, you're not going to be in the next matchup, unfortunately, but I can't wait to see you play again.
We'll see. I haven't played Siege in a while because I've been very, very busy with
Anyways,
everything. I've just been
have a good
coaching
evening.
Siege.
Yeah,
You too,
honestly,
man.